It has been the end of an era at Apple. Jony Ive, the man behind the look and feel of Apple products, is leaving the company after 30 years. As Apple's design chief, he was behind some of Apple's most iconic products. Apple shares fell slightly after the news of Ive's departure. Here's how they're currently trading, down slightly more than 1% right now. If you look at how Apple shares have responded to the products he headed the design for, I'm talking about the iMac, iPhone, Apple Watch, AirPods, you see how the company has boomed during his time there. For more on Jony Ive's legacy and what his exit actually means for Apple, let's bring in Dieter Bohn. He's the executive editor of The Verge, joins us live now from San Francisco. So Dieter, how important is an industrial designer to a company like Apple?
For a company like Apple, I think it's incredibly important. Apple has defined itself as a design company, and so having really strong design in its hardware products, something that looks beautiful and also is easy to use, is something that's essential to their core identity.
So the fact that he's leaving, does that tell you that perhaps Apple now wants to focus on non-hardware products, for example, software and services? What does it tell you, the fact that they're allowing him to leave, if you will?
Well, Apple's definitely been focusing much more on services. They had an entire event about it earlier this year. They're planning on launching a bunch of new subscription services for TV, for video games. They already have a news service. But they would tell you that they are not going to take their eye off the ball when it comes to designing hardware products. But the question is, when they start bringing out new products, will those things come out of the mind of a singular person, sort of a genius of design, or is it going to be more of a collaborative effort? And I think, and as I wrote today on The Verge, it's time for us to think about Apple as a collaborative company when it comes to design, not something that, spouts out of the mind of a single person.
So how much impact has an industrial designer like Jony Ive, for example, really had on the next generation of industrial designers? There are so many, as a result of the iPhone and the iMac, iPod, etc. Now you're seeing a whole wave of products across various industries have that same sort of sleek, minimalist, metallic feel. What has been the impact of an industrial designer like Jony Ive on the rest of the world, really?
It's been monumental. There's really no other word for it. When he was able to bring the company back from the brink with Steve Jobs with the original iMac, that changed everything. The iPod was also iconic. You didn't mention the MacBook, but the MacBook Air, more than any other laptop that I can think of, changed the entire computer industry and what people expected out of their laptops and what they wanted out of their laptops. And then, of course, the iPhone. Every iPhone, is glass on the front, metal on the back, or now glass on the back. They all have been born out of Jony Ive's original designs.
So, I mean, I know you said that it's going to be more of a collaborative effort from now on, you believe, but how do you replace somebody like Jony Ive?
I think you don't. I think that if you've got someone there, you go for it. But I think it's much more likely that a bunch of Apple's designs are going to be coming out of a little bit more of a team effort. Now, the thing to know about that is Apple's actually sort of been operating without Jony Ive's full attention for a little while now. He, of course, worked on Apple Park, the giant spaceship campus that we've all seen. But there have been lots of rumors flying around for the past few years now that he's been a little bit less engaged in the entire design process for making Apple's products than he used to be.
Okay, but when he starts his own design company called Love From, Apple's still going to be, I think, his first and principal client, from what I understand.
Yeah, of course. And so I think he's got stuff that he's been working on with Apple that are going to continue to be in the works. So you shouldn't expect that things are going to radically change with Apple's product design in the next few years. The big question is, when the time comes for Apple to attack a new hardware product category, like, say, AR glasses or something, will Jony Ive be the person driving that design, or will it come out of, some other mind or some other, process within that company?